Oh hey, didn't see you there. Just reading about the Renaissance. Did you know instruments existed a long time? Like they're older than us, even older than Dr. Gable.
Really?
Quiet. They've existed for dozens of years, if not hundreds. Did you know, like many of you, I play an instrument as well? Not this one right here. Many singer-songwriters today use a guitar, but back then, during the Renaissance, they used something called a lute. The lute was a very important instrument during the Renaissance, especially for secular music. There have been many forms of the lute, but the one as we know it today has came from East Mesopotamia, with its almond-shaped body and its short, teeny little neck, and its many, many strings. Around the 1800s, however, the lute lost a lot of its popularity, which is a real shame. Did you know that in the Baroque era, the lute was used as an instrument for basso continuo accompaniment parts? And as many of you already know, many people plucked the lute with their fingers. But people did use picks, but not as you may think. They used a quill. Did you know that a famous lute composer by the name of Sylvius Leopold Weiss had his works transcribed to piano by some guy named Bach? Ugh.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. You know, much like James, I also play an instrument. You know, the saxophone is pretty different from the lute, and it's pretty different from everything else, but it is one thing, and that's a woodwind. And we're all familiar with lutes, clarinets, oboes, and bassoons, but back in the Renaissance and the Baroque period, the crumhorn was the talk of the town. Now, what does the crumhorn look like, and what does it sound like? Well, similar to today's modern oboe and bassoon, it uses what's called a double reed. But what do these really sound like? Bad. But what does it look like? Well, as you can see here, the crumhorn comes in a bunch of different sizes and it's made fully out of wood, and it's got this bell shape on the end. You might ask, what does the bell shape do? Nothing. It's for aesthetic purposes. But the body as a whole is built super similar to what's called the chanter on a bagpipe. Just imagine one of these double reeds popped on the end. Now, at this time, all across Spain, England, Germany, and France, crumhorns were owned almost exclusively by cathedrals, royalty, noblemen, and municipal city bands, which means that this instrument, when it was played for music that was actually written for it, was played for things like parties for the noblemen, royal weddings to accompany masses, or just town gatherings. Crumhorn was played in what's commonly known as the crumhorn consort, or today essentially what is an ensemble. Essentially, more than one crumhorn player would play the crumhorn at the same time, much like this.
Whoa! Don't sneak up on me like that. But while you're here, I'm gonna talk about an instrument that I play, because I play an instrument. The flute. the modern flute comes from a long line of ancestors, one of those being the Renaissance flute. Now the modern flute looks like this, and the Renaissance flute looks something like this. And here's their family tree. Wonderful, isn't it? The biggest difference between the modern flute and the Renaissance flute is the fact that the Renaissance flute lacks a modern key mechanism, meaning it just had holes. It had 6 holes where you put your fingers, and one that you blew across like the modern flute. Another big difference is that the Renaissance flute came in 1 piece, while the modern flute comes in 3. These are just a few of the key differences between the 2 flutes. As mentioned before, the Renaissance flute family is very similar to the modern flute family, is that they come in a variety of different sizes. This was so they could play different songs in different keys. And for even more fun enjoyment, they were sometimes also played at concerts, much like the Crumhorn. Sorry guys, stairs. But anyway, back to the Renaissance flute. The Renaissance flute came from the fife. The fife is used in military marches alongside the snare drum. This is where it's thought that the Renaissance flute consort might have begun because many fife players owned more than one different size of fife. The fife, or now known as the Renaissance flute, ended up gaining popularity with the general public and was used for just general enjoyment. And now, a little throwback to the military.
Now, we talked a lot about instruments that can be used in different types of groups, like consorts, such as the lute, the flute, and the crumhorn. Now, for a really accurate historical depiction of a consort, including a lute, a flute, and a crumhorn, we decided to take our modern instruments and recreate as best as we possibly could a historical depiction of said consort.
And as always, thanks for watching.